I've been a part of the Loomian Legacy community since it came out. I was a very avid Brick Bronze fan in 2016. Since Loomian Legacy has been around, Lucky HD has been a vocal leader in spreading the words of the community and his own opinions and thoughts since its release. You know, this guy's only about like a year or two younger than me, and he has done a lot more for that certain YouTube space than most will give him credit for. You know, I think that like he gives a lot of vocal opinion towards Loomian Legacy that, like, for better or for worse, is very true to how he feels. And I respect that he isn't a total yes man towards, you know, that development team of the game. He can speak for his true feelings, and like most of the time I actually agree with him too, like on issues towards the game, on how it's handled. I can't disagree. There's like a few times where I can get annoyed of something like he has to say, but you know, coming from this, I've known about Tales of Tanorio for about a year, ever since Lucky decided to join their team as not only their community manager, but as an actual like modeler of the game and like helping shape out the story and whatnot. Since most of his designs for Loomian Legacy were actually getting constantly shelved and declined, he was submitting models for that game before. Now, I wanted to come in this game with a full positive mindset, but like given the circumstances we were given, it was kind of like difficult at points to do so, especially because the first day I was playing, I was extremely stressed out. Like at some points of like hearing about what this game is about, it like feels like the only talking point really was like we're just trying to one up Loomian Legacy because it wasn't going in the direction that they wanted to go. You know, similar to why Kick even exists to like compete with Twitch and whatnot. The constant criticism of the Loomian team and how they treat their game was ready to be applied to how Tales of Tanorio was to be ran. You know, I actually worked on game development before. I had this game called Pamo Party, and then after that was Airsoft Arena, and I met my friend Zach off this game called Murder Party, and he had these games called Murder Party Redux, Murder Frenzy. I helped him out with all of those throughout the years. We haven't really done much in the past few years, but back then that's something we used to work on. And something I learned from game development was like the misfortune of like, you know, overhyping a product that I was working on. And it's a shame, the way I would talk about something and it just wouldn't live up to the promises that I'm keep giving. But you know, the way that Tales of Tanorio was being spoken about from the community manager themselves and like everyone else in charge of the game or like testing and whatnot, you know, I was kind of hyped. I was hoping that it was going to be what they're saying to be. You know, I already like Loomian Legacy. You know, if this is truly the better version that they're indirectly alluding, you know, then maybe I'll like how this game turns out. You know, I was excited. I was ready to stream the game when the launch date came out. I took a day off work for that. And right then, though, all of a sudden, it was delayed last minute. Like, you know, when the Atlantean Part 2 delay happened, you know, Lucky was very vocal with his displeasure towards how it was handled. You know, he was freaking out on damn YouTube and Twitter and whatnot. You know, I've displeasure with moments like that too. That's why I never announce anything until it's like completely finished and I know it's gonna be finished and ready. You know, I hate last minute issues, but you know, sometimes with game development that's kind of like inevitable. You know, not only was Loomian not able to meet their date until a week later, but Tales of Tanorio seemed to fall under the same trope, and fans were furious. They were quick to call the situation ironic for how he handled the Loomian Atlantean situation compared to what just happened with Tales of Tanorio. And you know, Lucky himself even said it was very humbling to realize what kind of pressure he was putting the Loomian Legacy developers under whenever the Tales of Tanorio community gave him the same taste of his own medicine. So, you know, after that situation and multiple delays later, since one of the lead scripters was actually hospitalized right before the second attempt of releasing, we finally get the game on March 10th, 2024. We were finally able to play the game right then on Roblox. And you know, it was kind of sudden. You know, they announced it the day before it came out that it was gonna drop. You know, it's just like, it was very sudden. Like, we knew it was gonna come in the next few days, but I didn't think it was gonna be the day after the announcement. You know, it was so sudden, it seemed that not enough people would be able to reach the game during its launch date. But the launch actually massed 40,000 players concurrent and reached the front page within minutes. I watched it. Right now, the release seemed to have died down a bit, but you know, still, it's averaging 10,000. That's a lot more than Loomian Legacy has right now. This is my first time critiquing a game on launch, or you know, really in general. I've never really done this before, so hopefully my experience with this game is going to be good, because I don't like bad mouthing other people's work. You know, I'm just gonna say what my true opinion is with this game. And also about the Game Pass, just in case it was going to benefit me. I'm still not really sure what it does, though. I didn't watch any of the directs or whatever. So we start the game. It's an intro with this very corny theme song about, like, capturing every Tanorian or whatever. You know, for a kid's game, it's pretty decent, but it is very cheesy, and the chorus is incredibly corny. However, I do really like the beginning intro, the animations. We launched into this professor's office, and, you know, to our surprise, this game actually has its own voice actors. I wasn't expecting that at all. You know, that's something that Loomian hasn't tried before. Doodle World, none of those games have ever tried before. So, you know, I was impressed, except for the fact that this guy's voice was slightly taking me off. His accent sounded insanely fake. You know, this is nowhere near as worse as the voice acting goes, though. At least for what we're handed later in the game. You know, this guy's definitely at the top tier of voices for this game. And, you know, I know voice acting is an option that can be turned off, but, you know, seeing as this is one of the options that makes this game stick out for Brick Bronze and Loomian Legacy, you know, I might as well leave it on so I can experience the game how the developers intended. I will say, I am very displeased with how slow the cutscenes are in this game and how unskippable and unnecessary most of the dialogue is. You know, if you turn off voice acting, you know, you're able to skip through the lines way more faster. I wish that, like, even with voice acting on, I wish that was still an option, because I don't want to sit here all day listening to these dudes. We then wake up into our house with our mom getting mad that we're not watching a battle on the TV or whatever, similar to how the battles are televised in Loomian, like the gym battles or whatever. We then go outside to meet our friend who was excited to gain one of our first Tanorians. We're both in the same position, ready to gain our own starter. You know, Kira, our mother Wisteria, and Rhea, I think all of them are really the best voice actors in the game so far. You know, although I'm starting to now notice how weird and uncanny some of their mouth animations look. We then sit through this dreadfully long dialogue before we choose our starter. You know, as soon as we choose our starter, we go outside to have our first battle. This is something that happens in every game. I figured maybe Tales of Tanorio would do something different with that, because, you know, that happens every time. You know, we get our starter, we go have a battle. You know, maybe it could have just, like, started with us actually going, like, hunting first, maybe. I don't know. Cause that happens, like, every game. Figured Tales of Tanorio would make something stick out, you know? You know, I've never actually truly played a real Pokemon game. I don't know if I ever said that. The thing I would give credit with Loomian Legacy and Brick Bronze for is that the dialogue goes by way faster. Like, the dialogue in this game is, like, painfully slow. I'm just having second thoughts about when I said this while I'm editing, because there are points in Brick Bronze and Loomian Legacy where the dialogue seemed like it's going on forever. For example, with Brick Bronze, there was a lot of points in Anthean City where it felt like that. Also with Loomian Legacy, when it comes to the, you know, the exact museum scene that is kind of similar to the one in Tales of Tanorio that's going to come up soon, especially during the Atlantean Part 2 event. That whole story was like 2 hours worth of dialogue. I actually had to reset my game before I was recording this footage because my power went out, and in the hour and a half that I did play, I didn't even get to the first gym. I was stuck in a bunch of trainer battles. That may be because I chose the wrong starter, though. I did choose the Grass Bunny the first time, and the second time around I chose the Water Hound, which turned out to be a way better choice for me. I feel like the UI could be a lot better in this game. You know, everything I've seen from this game, you know, the battle and counter UI, it just looks nowhere near as smooth and bouncy as Loomian or Brick Bronze ever looked. And, you know, I want to give this game a chance as its own game, but, you know, it's very similar to both of those games. It's kind of hard to give the benefit of the doubt when most of these things in this game are just like worse versions of what both of those games already did better. You know, the first route isn't that bad, but the next route, the amount of trainers we're led through is painfully lengthy. You know, I will give credit to the healing station being right outside this route, though, because there is a lot of trainer battles. I'm not going to be able to do this in one run, you know, especially for how easy Tanorians are to pass out when they're so low leveled. I wish there was an easier way to escape grass, though. Like a route like this where I could just easily avoid grass and not have to walk through it each time I'm trying to go somewhere, especially with a route that has a bunch of trainer battles in it, it would benefit a lot. And, you know, that's not just a Tanorian problem. I have that problem with Loomian Legacy too. You know, that isn't just exclusive to this game. I hope that some of my critiques of this game isn't due to a drab demotivation of just playing Loomian Legacy as a whole, and hopefully I can truly give it the chance that I'm being persuaded to. We're then led to Arksworth City, where we head to this museum, and a guy actually breaks out and steals an artifact with a police voice by
We got a call about some suspicious activity here at the museum.
Is that fucking Pokenova, bro? Also, I'm not sure who this other voice actor is, but he really sucks. I'm sorry, man.
Man, I need a nap.
Who the fuck is that? Like, you can hear the reverb in his house. This female officer has a very nice voice actor, though. You know, I'd say it's better than the other two. You know, Pokenova, he's decent, though. He's decent. I'm not gonna say he's completely bad. I'm not gonna write him off. All right, now this next quest to find the guy who stole this artifact, you know, I was trying to find him and I couldn't. And around this time, actually, my power went out, so I had no idea what I was supposed to do. And I had to watch Lucky Stream to figure out where I was supposed to go next. You know, I wish they made it more clear without me having to use YouTube or, like, the wiki as a source. So we find the thief, and then we battle him to gain the artifact back after defeating him. So we head back to the museum, we return the artifact. We're offered free admission for the day to explore the museum. And, you know, the museum looks really nicely built. You know, as for, like, most of the buildings around the game, it's very interesting to see all these Tanorio skeletons, you know, the decent fan art. Around kind of, as well as like these other artifacts around the museum. It's like Tanorians that I hadn't seen in game yet. You know, there's another thing I'll really compliment about the game that wasn't overhyped. The building looks incredible for this game. Like, at points it's even better than Loomian's building. Whoever built this game did a very nice job with it. Another thing I forgot to add was that whenever I decided to switch servers, the lighting changed like instantly. Like, it was daytime the first time I played, then I joined my VIP server and it became nighttime and it became intensely darker outside, but like to the point where like I could barely see anything and the light posts weren't doing anything. They were barely effective for me to see anything better. I'm not sure if that's a bug or like a poor design choice, but hopefully that gets fixed soon. And speaking of light posts, when will we see the ones that were Lucky called important to the game soon? I don't think I've seen those a single time since I started playing. Before we move on though, I want to compliment the music of this game. The soundtrack is really good, as the developers were hyping it up to be. You know, one of the aspects of the game that seemed to not actually be overhyped this far, and it's a lot of Brick Bronze vibes because it's the same composer. Something else I noticed that someone else said is that there's not really a tutorial on how to play. They just expect us to have played like a Pokemon game before and like get right into it. I'm not sure if other Pokemon games are like that too. I know Brick Bronze and Loomian Legacy are kind of like that, but you know, I feel like that also could have set Tales of Tanorio apart from these games, especially like how this game seems to have a lot more traders that are way more challenging than Loomians are. I also decided, since I was very stressed the first time I was playing it, maybe I should reset my game to see if my experience changes. And you know, restarting that game, I was a lot more calmer and patient with what I was dealing with, because now I actually have a concept of what I'm going to be handed. And you know, like I said earlier, I think Rabish was a weak starter for me to choose, so I chose the Water Hound. And, you know, I'm glad to say I had a way better time playing then than I did before. And my patience with all the trainer battles and dialogue was a lot better. And I actually grew my team bigger than I had before. And you know, playing through, I also realized that the level bar, I think, was currently bugged, which I think is a tween service bug. There's also not an option to skip dialogue whenever voice acting is on. I think I mentioned that before. And you know, from the look of the dev console, there seems to be a lot of errors still prevalent in the game. Also, I paid for one Tanoken Plus, which seems to be the basketball equivalent, and then it didn't let me buy another one. And I'm also having issues where I'm attempting to purchase potions and it won't prompt me to get them. I wish this game wasn't as overhyped. It pushed way too early for release than it was, so that they could have had more time to fix these bugs. You know, obviously this game is not readily in the state to release. You know, it's still kind of early access. I also don't like how the Tanoken capturing UI or whatever, the bag UI, whenever you're in game, it has a transparent background. It just like makes it look like the UI has it fully loaded in. You like how Brick Bronze and Loomian have like a yellow background. I don't like how the transparent background looks, because it looks like the game isn't fully loaded yet. You know, when TV shows make parodies of games to kind of like, you know, mimic them or whatever, that's kind of like what the PC box reminds me of, except for Loomian. I can't even look at the summary of my Tanorians when I go in the PC box. I don't know what that's about. I can only look at the ones that are in my party, which is kind of odd. You know, they never really go in depth about what Kira's father's research is. You know, we're just expected to help them grow their research, and that's kind of like a blank spot in the storyline, because this continues throughout the entire game. It's just kind of confusing. Like, what research are we looking for? Can you go in depth about what we're supposed to like look for? Like, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it's just like, it really seems like a blank spot in the storyline that it's just like not really like touched on, and it kind of like bothers me, because like it just feels like filler, really. Like, what are we supposed to be looking for? You know, the historical part of the story is like very oddly similar to how Loomian's, not the storyline really, but like the UI. Not to say it's bad though, because I think the voice acting actually like really elevates this part of the history lesson. So, you know, something Loomian doesn't have, and it like really makes the game feel like a movie at times whenever it's done right. I'll say they executed it way better than Loomian did, honestly, with his voice acting. You know, then the dialogue kind of ends abruptly, and we're just expected to head to Route 4. You know, maybe I wasn't paying attention to the dialogue. Maybe they said something about it. I'm not really sure. So we then head to Route 4, to Kira continuing to be a narc as the thief attempts to explain his actions. We then spare him and head to his family's farm. And, you know, I'm sorry, but Mengso is definitely the ugliest design in the game. I really do not like how this Tanorian looks. It looks just as bad as some of the early Loomians where like Twiddle and, you know, the pig with 2 legs. This Tanorian honestly looks just as bad as those ones do. Or as those ones did, really, because they remodeled them. I also don't like how wild captures are like way more time consuming than Loomian's is, you know, which is the major complaint I had with Loomian, which is a shame, because, you know, Lucky's an avid criticizer of the game. I would have thought that like the biggest flaws of that game specifically would be fixed in Tales of Tanorio, but you know, I guess not. And you know, here we go again, battle after battle after battle after battle after bat. I'm also getting very unlucky with catching Bomb Beetle. Like, not only did I kill them twice, you know, I'm not sure what the counter in the corner's for. Maybe it's like a chain hunting thing, I'm not sure. There's a lot of things in this game that aren't thoroughly explained. I wish there were. But I also don't think there's a healing station in this route compared to the previous one, which is a bummer. You know, even though I'm having a way better time than I did earlier, it's insane. I've been playing for 3 hours and I still haven't reached the first gym. So we finally get to the next route, and I'm also confused about the other guy I ran to asking me to battle again, because I don't think I battled him at all. battle. We reach the farm and continue the storyline, meeting Endu's parents, and we learn his story of being forced to meet expectations that he's just not meant for. You know, that's something I can relate to. And then he lets his parents know he aspires to be a stadium star and decides to join us to pursue his dreams. You know, this specific route, I don't know, I don't think it's the route, it might just be the game. Like, I noticed that when I was playing, like, if you play the game for too long, it'll get laggier and laggier and laggier. I don't know what that issue is, but it was specifically happening to me in this route and then the next routes to come. I don't think it's a route issue, but an issue with the game, and I'm not sure what exactly was causing it. You know, the other routes were just fine, and I don't think I complimented it before, but the special effects in this game look really nice. If you really pay attention to the background of what's going on, you'll really notice them, and they stick out. And I don't think the "do you want to switch Tanorian's" UI shows up during battle, you know, if that even exists. And if it doesn't, then I think it should be added, because it helped me a lot during Loomian and Brick Bronze, and it's like really irritating not being able to give him the chance to switch during the battle. Another thing, you know, I wish a mute music button was added. You know, I know Kyle Allen worked really hard on the soundtrack, and it sounds really good for the most part. It's just that, you know, I'd rather have a button to mute the music, listen to the, like, sound effects and voice acting only. You know, whenever I have my music on Spotify, rather than like having to mute Roblox as a whole. You know, I have an issue with that with Loomian as well. It's not an issue that's just limited to Tales of Tanorio. The lag of this route is really making the trainer battles a pain to sit through, and this game is insanely time consuming, is way more than Loomian somehow. You know, I tried turning down my graphics for the lag spikes, and there was still an immense amount of it happening. Even at the Fabia Falls route, it was not limited to that, just that route. Some of these capture rates are insanely low sometimes too. It's a shame that I have to throw like 20 cans and I can't purchase more because of bugs just to capture one common Tanorian. That Termitate took like 20 discs from me because I still couldn't catch it, and I still just ended up killing it out of frustration. I couldn't catch it. This game gets severely headache inducing at times too. You know, my Tanorian seems to get stuck behind structures often, and it doesn't even teleport behind me. Rather, it'll just stay behind that structure until I move to the point where it can finally follow me again. You know, it wasn't just limited to that route either. They were disappearing from my sight in the first route often too, like right after we did our battle with Kira. You know, sometimes they're not even being able to be seen at all. You know, the lag of pacing in this game like made it kind of painful to sit through. You know, I'm not living forever, you know. Finally, an hour later, we reached Nikido City. Oh, never mind. We're stuck in some dialogue with some fucking brat. The lag gets worse through every city I sit through. You know, I decided to rejoin to see if that will fix the slowly decreasing lag, and thankfully it did. You know, at the cost of me having to hear that corny ass theme song again. We meet at Grubhog where our mentee serves his burgers. We then decide to have a battle in the restaurant to prepare for the gym battle. You know, I'm glad there isn't any time-consuming puzzles to deal with in the stadium, as well as like the rest of the traders not having voice acting. You know, it partially makes up for the time I wasted trying to get to this point. You know, the 3 battles before reaching Rhea were just fine, nothing too complicated. I kind of sweep through all of them. Rhea is where it starts to get difficult. You know, that's the final battle for that gym. You know, after almost all my Loomians were killed, I defeated Rhea with my last Tanorian, and I only gained $36 from it. You know, I still gotta say, the soundtrack and very detailed building in this game are actually really great and make up for the immense amount of bugs and issues I have with most of the other aspects of the game. It really makes up for it. And you know, I actually got curious to see if any secrets in the other buildings were in the town, and I got stuck in the sweet shop multiple times. So it then led to Kaigan Canyon. The lack of trainers in this route is insanely refreshing. We then take this way to go to the mines, and the mines have an annoyingly high amount of Tanorians in this route. You know, this is a problem I have with Loomians and Brick Bronze mine areas too. It's not just limited to this one, you know. So I try to turn my rappel on, and I run through the route and run into the trainers, and the rappel runs out really fast. And I take my lack of trainers coming back. I tried getting through 4 of them, and my whole team passed away due to foreseen circumstances. I was wondering why my moveset wasn't changed, and apparently you're supposed to manually change your moveset as you unlock moves. Yet there's nowhere in the game that tells you this, you know. And they don't tell you in battle that you get a new move like, you know, Loomian does. You know, I'm glad they ditched the idea of having to replace it in the middle of a battle though, but it is very annoying and time consuming. That concept was very irritating in Loomian Legacy, you know. But I wish that Tales of Tanorio implemented this way better. You know, finally knowing this though, I was able to sweep through the trainers way faster than I should have. And it made me feel like as if I was wasting my time before, you know, not knowing this. Well shit, I even knowing it, I feel like I'm wasting my time because of how long this damn game is. I've been on here for almost 6 hours and I just now beat the first gym. I blacked out mid-battle and now I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. So I pressed unstuck to go through the first city. I also figured out how to use saddles, which is nice. So I finally get to the center and I fell through the map. My camera also seems to be stuck in this position where I can only look down. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but damn, it sucks. And it just happened again. Why was this not fixed before release? And why is the mountain button double shift instead of Q? I try to run and it goes to the mount half the time. I finally get to the Poke Center. I finally get to the Poke Center, this time without pressing shift at all. I bought a conservation incense just to test it out, and some more repels, and one potion because that's all I could really afford. I gotta say, I'm really disappointed with how they chose to let it heal based off percentage and not like amount like Loomian Brick Bronze. It makes it feel like every potion is a really small amount of rehealing, and it makes the more expensive ones feel like a big scam. I also think the choose amount UI is like really basic, and a shutdown was announced, so I wait for that to attempt as I walk back into the mines. I keep getting stuck at this entrance to the mines and I don't know why. I rejoined servers multiple times and I still can't get in. The bug is locking me from reaching the second gym in the story, so I'll have to continue this review tomorrow. If I have to take 3 days to not even reach the second gym, I wonder how long and dreadfully time consuming the finished product would be. Okay, they actually fixed the mine bug before I had to sleep, so I'm gonna keep playing until I either finish the game or experience another bug. I'm back at the start of the mines. Sentence meshing with my handheld mic. We reached the other side of Kaigan Canyon, and a rock just falls at some girl, killing her instantly. I apply more repels and suffer through trainers. I run into a guy that gave me a weather app, and I got lost instantly because I feel like I'm walking in a circle. I wasn't sure where to go after that. So I'm now stuck in this cutscene and I have to rejoin. I know this game is very anti-pay to win, but I wish I could pay for more cash and, higher shiny chances. I'm not sure if either of those are already options, but I miss both of those from Loomian definitely. Then again, I haven't tried the chain hunting yet, nor do I really have the patience to. I also noticed that all of my settings were automatically set to disabled, something I didn't have set before. I'm not sure why that happened. I wish this game had the shutdown timer like Loomian does. This game is not the type of game where it can afford a random shutdown out of nowhere. People are going to find rare stuff and then lose it because of the random shutdowns. I really thought my Loomians were going to pass out again, until I realized my Kali has a drain health move that heals itself. Hell yeah. I won't lie, I was depending a lot on my starter throughout the whole time playing, when I realized I should have been utilizing some of my other Loomians in my party more. We reach Everlush town, or whatever it's called, to meet Chef Dylan, who is also the gym leader of this town.
So this is the friend you were talking about.
Oh fuck. We then rematched Kira again, and I won't lie, she almost beat my ass. I wish EXP share worked while my team was dead. My Tanorians are insanely weak now because they've died so many times. They stayed low level while another member of my team had to carry all of them. There's one that's just like way higher level than everybody else. I also, in this part of the story, still don't know what research we're supposed to be getting from all of this, and it's not explained anywhere. I'm not sure why we're at the second gym, and it's still not clear what the hell that is. I'm not sure what this puzzle with this waiter guy is supposed to be either. I'm just clicking random choices going through with it because I'm confused of what I'm even supposed to be guessing. Whatever this puzzle was meant to be was terribly communicated because I am insanely confused on what I'm supposed to be completing here. The final battle was pretty nice, but I think I preferred the experience of the first gym overall. The music is louder than the dialogue after the battle ends, so I can't really hear what this gym leader has to say. We then re-meet Kira, and then we have a call with Wisteria about what's to come. We then go back to Kaigan Canyon to go to Skylift and reach the Mikoto City. I'm not really sure what that rupture thing is, but I'm assuming it's copying the raids from Loomian. I'm not sure if Pokemon had that before either, because I never really played it. Also, I was right about the shiny chain count thing from earlier. That's what it's in the corner of the screen. Shows these numbers of the Tanorians I killed. Now we reach the snowy area where it's trainer after train. I was heading to heal my Tanorians because only 2 of them are alive and another train! I'm also starting to get lag spikes again. At least my mount doesn't fall through the ground at the healing center anymore. Shiny hunting also feels way more time consuming than it does in Loomian Legacy, especially because I can't buy any boosts with Robux. And that's saying something because I already dread hunting in the game to the point where I haven't played the game in months. Anyways, I think we finished how far we can get in the game so far. If I could describe this whole experience in a few words: slightly overhyped and insanely time consuming. Now, am I going to downplay how the game goes due to that overhype? Not necessarily. I more so try to keep my expectations decently low, even with the sense that people thought this was just going to be a better version of Loomian Legacy that they were seeking it out to be. And this kind of just seemed like a lesser version of what the game has already done pretty well already. I do think this game has potential to be better and to stick out more, but right now it's really just fine. There's not really much else to say about it. There's as many great things about this game as there are flaws, and I think I'll just leave it at that. Again, I think the soundtrack and building are great for this game, but most other aspects of this game are very hit or miss. The voice actors, the UI, the pacing of this game, the Tanorian designs, etc. Now, keep in mind that this is still a very early access version of the game, and there's still a lot of planned for this game. As Lucky stated, the upcoming updates and plans of this game could change the genre as a whole, but only time will tell if the development team sticks to that word. Hopefully this game can get better from its currently just okay stance that it's at. As I said, I think the game has potential to be greater than it currently is, but only time, passion, and patience will tell where this game will lead to. And no, I'm not just mad that I lost the Armenti Eaglet rap contest. Okay, maybe just a little bit. Also, I just got laid off my job, so like the video and subscribe to my main channel, DNW Gaming, and this channel. I'm gonna try to balance both since, you know, I don't really have a choice right now. I'll see y'all another time. Bye.